All right, a few days back I replaced these bolts here because when I crank this up, they used to have hex heads on them. So I put these smooth head carriage bolts on them. So when I crank it up, it would get stuck and rips. It's been ripping all this stuff up. So those got replaced, and now I'm going to work on a arm system to help get this net up and down. All right, so the plan is to have some sort of arm, use or control the net so it can go up and down more easily just by cranking it and not have to climb up and try to drag it over the trash. And so I've got this carriage bolt here. This is going to be our pivot point. And I'm using leftover hardware, so I've got this old washer, this square nut, and another washer. And then I'm going to compress this 2x4 onto here and try to use this washer as like a bearing of sorts. All right, guys, similar setup here on the other side. Got my second washer, and this is a brand new board with fresh eye hooks. All right, so you can sort of see here how this board needs a little bit of standoff. So I've got some hardware to place in there. All right, so you can see this nut here is locking this board in with the carriage bolt. This is just an oversized nut as a spacer. And here's a Teflon nut, and there's a washer as kind of like a bearing. And out here we're gonna have the same washer with another Teflon nut to lock it in place. All right, so we have the same mock-up on this side. So what I'm gonna do is come across to the back, lay a 2x4 across the top, a 10-footer, and then go to the other side as well, and then mark it so I can secure it all together. All right, now that everything's mocked up on the truck, this is what it's gonna look like when it's all secured. So let me get this secured down with some screws and get it on the truck. All right, there we have. I left a little overhang just in case I messed up and have to move anything. So now let's get it mounted on the truck. All right, and there you have it. It goes up pretty decently. I have some creaking and fitting to get into, but last step is to attach the net to it. All right, so use some cabinet screws and some washers, and I'm just gonna crank it up and see how it goes. I think one adjustment I have to make is to make this board longer so that it sits on top of there. Because on this side, it wants to get hung up like that, but I just have to knock it up and put it into place. But for now, let's give it. There you have it. Now it's much more of a one-man job. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.